And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And folks, it's the eve of the 4th of July, and I'm out of town. I'm in Detroit for a family function, but I wanted to bring a show to you today, and I want to wish everybody a happy holidays. And we're going to get started here. I got a great guest. I got Dr. Shack in the house. So, folks, if you ain't got nothing to do, y'all get in touch with your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David, and y'all, let's get ready to go into the truth zone right away. Man, I missed the music, but it's all good, though. We're going to make it happen, and we're going to have a great conversation. We're going to talk about the Donald Trump and the immunity. So let's get it in, folks. Come on.
Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
On the bridge.
No justice, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
The Biden administration is opening new ways for thousands of people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to legally enter the country.
Is necessary by any means necessary to protect his life and property, especially in a country where the federal government itself has proven that it is either unable or unwilling to protect the lives and property of those human beings.
Liar, corrupt, thief.
Global, universal, and coming from the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. Now it's time to let the truth be told with David Lowery.
Special edition, folks. Y'all tune in. We got a great conversation. And welcome to a special edition of Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. Folks, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I'm at a family function. I'm out in Detroit, but I did want to do a show and talk about the immunity. So first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for the Hebrews, that's Yahweh and Yahshua. To the American people and patriots across this country, what we've seen so far on what the Democrats have done against President Donald Trump is really a travesty of justice. When he was the president, they impeached him 2 times, and each time they impeached him, it was all a big lie. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and all of them have been stealing money from the taxpayers since day one. Barack Obama never did anything constructive to help this country. He was probably the worst for me and a lot of other people, the worst president of all time. And now we have Joe Biden, who really is a surrogate because Barack Obama is still running this country, and he has created the transgender world. He has created 2 wars. See, I want to put the blame where the blame deserves to be. Joe Biden has had his time to do things, but Joe is sick. Joe is sick because we saw that from the debate. So it has been Barack Obama who has been destroying this country. It has been him who has pushed the transgender world onto us. It has been Barack Obama and his homosexual tendencies who have forced it in our schools. All of this stuff is the war in the Ukraine because the United States politicians are buying land in the Ukraine, a war in Israel that's fake because now all of a sudden the state of Israel continued to want to move the Palestinians off of land which was given to them by God. And to be honest with you, they're not the real Jews. So with what's going on right now against Donald Trump, and the fact of the matter is, we can see that the Supreme Court came down and made a ruling of his immunity. Now, to the American people and patriots across this country. This was a wake-up call for us because we've watched the Democratic Party institute COVID mandates under Joe. They lied, they've been cheating, they've been stealing, they've turned our economy upside down. When Trump was in office, the highest gas price was $2.15. Now it's $6, $7, $8. It's the holiday and the prices have went back up. So everything we've seen in the last 3 years has been under the Biden administration and the Obama administration and the Clinton administration and the George Soros administration and the Anthony Fauci, he's not a doctor, administration. We've seen all of these things happen under the Democratic Party. And I think it's high time that the American people and patriots across this country realize that it has been the Democratic Party with the rhino Republicans who say they're Republicans, but they're not. They're Democrats in disguise. It has been them who has tried to take this country and turn it into a band of heathens, which they are, and turn it away from God and make us the most weakest, hated country on the face of this planet. And in saying that, I'm gonna bring my guest, Dr. Shack, in. Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm glad you're getting to spend time with your family over this holiday weekend.
Man, I needed this bad. You know, we're doing a lot of things in Chicago. It was good just to get away, spend some time with family, and be able to hopefully eat some barbecue till I'm fat and full.
Right.
Doc, I wanted to do this special edition because the fact that the judge came down and said that President Trump had immunity, which they already knew that he had immunity anyway. And this is why I'm telling the American people, we have to stop allowing mainstream media to poison us. Mainstream media continue to poison us. They continue to have us to think that things are a certain way when they're not. When it has only been a Democratic Party who has created the migrant situation, they opened the borders, you know, they caused the wars, they caused inflation to the American people and patriots across this country. Our real enemy is the Democratic Party and the rhino Republicans who have put us in jeopardy. Doc, I want your thought and your opinion on this immunity that the Supreme Court ruled, in which the Democrats knew that he would be found innocent in this charge, which changes the dynamics of everything. Talk a little bit about your thoughts and what this does to the other cases that President Trump is facing.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And, you know, happy holidays to everybody out there. I know some people don't celebrate Independence Day and some people do. That's a whole separate conversation.
That's another conversation.
But I'm just going to say have a great long weekend to those that are out there. But addressing this, I really see where Congress, unfortunately, is allowing the bench to legislate. Because there are cases that should not have gone as far as they went in the way that they were against President Trump, because they were trying to conflate what was a state matter into a federal matter, and then just ping pong back and forth when it was convenient. And it's sad that they dislike this individual that much that they'd be willing to basically thwart our entire justice system and turn it over on its side and then cry foul when they don't get their way. It's bad. Because, you know, this is really the weaponization of our judicial system. We have it. We know that there are times when it has not been even and equal for everyone, right? But using it and weaponizing it against another person does not make it any better. What the Supreme Court did was just say what had already been in place. They just had to reaffirm it. That's all they did. All they did was say, yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, that's what we're doing. No, you cannot find this person guilty in this capacity because they're president. You know, exactly. I mean, there is immunity in things that are here. Like you going and doing all of this other stuff isn't going to change the outcome.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to change the outcome. Now, on the flip side of this, you know, my husband and I were talking about it. He was like, okay, does this mean a president can just do whatever they want? It doesn't mean that they can do whatever they want.
But
what it does, it puts in perspective their boundaries of what they can and cannot do and be held accountable for.
And you know what, Doc, you're so correct. For the simple reason that, and I want to say this to all Americans today. This is the Independence holiday for the United States. In 1776, they signed the Declaration of Independence and created the Constitution for all Americans. But in this present day and time, to the American people and patriots across this country, we've been under a severe attack to remove our Constitution, to take the First Amendment, our freedom of rights and religion. All of that has been under attack. The Second Amendment that says, thou shalt not infringe upon, have been infringed upon. And I think the American people coming into this 4th of July, we should have our heads screwed on tight to know right now who the real enemy is. The real enemy to this country, again, is the Democratic Party. They've caused all this dissension. It has always been a situation with the Democrats where they've kept Black people in a pattern to believe as if they're going to help us, but never help us. And that's why the Black community is in this condition, is because of the fact that we've allowed we've always waited for somebody to free us. And even on this holiday, Black people, you still wasn't free on the 4th of July. And so that's going to be a conversation we're going to have, because the same people that was in the room who was saying they wanted freedom from Britain and they didn't want to pay taxes, they didn't want to be enslaved to England, but yet you enslaved another person. So that's a conversation we're going to have. But I want to stay here with the immunity. The Democrats knew. See, this is their motto. And to the American people and patriots across this country, there should be not one American citizen voting for the Democratic Party after they've shown their hand to hate this country, to institute the homosexual stuff, to do everything that we've saw. Not one American should be voting for the Democratic Party, because it is not about the good of this country. This is about being the good of corrupt people. And you would think the people that we pay, we're giving them salaries, they're getting money, they're making side deals, they're lobbying, they're making millions and millions of dollars off our back. And yet they've enwrapped this country into this situation where our borders have been open. We got terrorist groups here in the United States waiting to pounce on us. It's just a shame. And the American people need to put the blame where it is, and it's the Democratic Party, not Donald Trump. And so it was only fitting as an American citizen that Donald Trump be found with immunity, because all the other presidents have done stuff. And I'm not trying to be on the soapbox, but I want the American people to understand one thing. We call a spade a spade. The name of this show is Let the Truth Be Told. And all the other things that the presidents have done, like Hillary Clinton, she wasn't a president, but she made all sorts of derogatory statements with the emails, which they deleted. You know, Joe Biden and the vice president took documents that he wasn't supposed to took. He stole them. But then if Barack Obama did not stand up and say something about them being stolen, then he allowed them to be stolen because he was the only one that had the codes. So to the American people and patriots, on this Independence Day, we need to reclaim our independence of our country. And by the Supreme Court coming out saying, guess what? This infringes on the presidency. How can we say that our president can be charged with a frivolous charge and all the other stuff that they have done, and then allow for Joe Biden to be a president with his corrupt son, Hunter, the cocaine, homosexual head son, Hunter, all this money they've taken from China, the money they've stolen from the Ukraine. The American people know that all the documents that Congress are bringing forth against the Biden crime family, and nobody is saying nothing, but you're prosecuting Donald Trump for false charges, and these people are still in office. They're still getting paid American dollars. They're still taking our money, doling it over to the illegals. They're still doing everything with the two wars, all this whole sham that the Democrats have done, and they have the nerve to act like they have honesty and integrity and morals and scruples to the American people. None of that counts. There's more morals and scruples in a dog than what you see in the White House. So we need to take this country back on this Independence Day and reclaim our independence and make this country great again. And I'm saying it because now all of the cases that President Trump has been attacked with, all of those cases now have to be brought back to a place because they never figured his immunity in these cases.
Right.
So what's happening now is all the hush money case, all of this stuff should be brought back and put in front of the judges so that they can be thrown out. Your thoughts on that, Doc?
Yeah. So some of these cases, like I said, they were conflated to be federal when it was convenient and then to be state when it was convenient, right? So the federal part was, okay, he paid this person hush money so it wouldn't affect his campaign. At that time, it couldn't have been federal because he wasn't president at the time. He was actually still a candidate. So if you were going to, go after him at the state level, that would make sense, right? Because that would be a matter of the state. That would not be a matter of federal. But they said, but he interfered. I'm like, do you know how many people have paid other people off so that they wouldn't get found out? I mean, John Edwards, he lost the election because people found out about his mistress. He was trying to bribe the mistress to be quiet. Okay. And then he dropped out of the race afterwards. I'm just saying, but he didn't go to court over it. He literally did the same thing.
Well, you know what? This is why I wanted to do this show, because see, the American people need to get one thing straight. We are going to have to stop holding people to the standard of honesty, integrity. The White House, we can't hold them. We have to hold them accountable to who they really are, because you don't see them promoting marriage between a man and a woman in this country. That's not coming from the White House. Okay, you don't see honesty and integrity. That's not coming from the White House. You don't see the White House setting a precedent to say that we need to get control of an educational system and make sure our children are being taught to be competitive in the world, on the world stage of academics. It used to be. So the White House cannot set a precedent of anything because of its condition. So we as American citizens are being held to the point that we're supposed to be honest, we're supposed to be God-fearing, we're supposed to do the right thing. But how can this country, this administration, ask the American people to do anything when everything is dysfunctional at the White House? It's dysfunctional in Hollywood. They set no precedent on what goes on in this country because everything they do is dysfunctional. And so the American people, the patriots, better understand one thing right now. If we don't clean the White House out coming up in 2024, then this country is going to be defeated, not from the outside, but from within. Your thoughts, Doc?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and that just goes to Congress as well, because the White House, they're not at the top of the food chain. It's our legislators. So it's the House and the Senate that actually set the pace and the tone. And they've actually been hiding behind Supreme Court decisions as opposed to really standing up and putting laws in place to protect people, or to take bills away that have overridden the Constitution, what they're not supposed to do according to the Ninth Amendment. So they haven't been doing their job. Had they been doing their job, a lot of these cases wouldn't even be where they were for Donald Trump, period, because they wouldn't have been allowed to go as far as they did. They would have been stopped. But we are living in an environment where they want us not looking at them, the legislatures that are not doing their jobs. They want us looking at each other and angry with each other. If there have been any crimes committed, to your point, when you talk about the illegal immigration that's gone on, that is treason, because they literally have supported people that are here illegally. That's criminal behavior. They're paying for it. We're paying for it, actually, with our tax dollars. And we're being told, you're going to do this regardless. I mean, they wrote it into a Appropriations Act in 2021, they set aside $12 million for what we see. And that's just a small portion of what we're seeing, but it was written into legislation. It was appropriated funds for what we see now. So no one can tell me that treason hasn't been committed. It has been committed.
It has.
When you are actually writing bills that say you're going to support illegal activity, it's in there. Like, I can't make this stuff up. It says undocumented minor aliens. People that are undocumented are not here legally. They're here illegally.
Yes.
And you put money aside for this, but you make it sound kind of pretty in the wording. It's still criminal activity. You've committed treason. All of you. I'm okay with all of you going to jail. I'm good with it. I'm good with sending all of y'all to Guantanamo Bay today. Okay, I'm good with it.
Me too, because it's just simple. What really, and this is why I get upset with my people, Black people. You know, when Trump was found guilty for the hush money trial, we actually saw Black people that was out there. They were celebrating. They were jumping up and down, says, "Oh, the orange-haired guy, he got guilty," which was a sham trial. Okay, the judge should have recused himself. I mean, the jury was bought and paid for, and so it was a sham trial. But Black people, you've been in this country all of these years, and I want to out there to the mothers and fathers who are sitting back watching this show, how many of your children, your nieces and your nephews have been put in jail, in prison, because the system is corrupt? I can tell you, it's been thousands and thousands of Black men and women who have went to jail because of corrupt DA that wanted to lock Black men up, like Kamala Harris. So Black people should not have been celebrating the fact that Donald Trump got found guilty because he's such a guilty person. What they should have been celebrating was the fact that Donald Trump exposed a corrupt system. Yeah. He exposed the legal system that's been locking Black men up ever since they've been in this country.
Yeah. And the sad part about it is that same system is releasing people that have actually committed crimes. That we've seen on camera. The people that are here illegally, I need people to know, they are being released. They're back out on the streets. That's why a lot of these rapes are happening to these young girls. That's why a lot of this criminal activity keeps occurring. I think I saw a video the other day where a man followed a woman down the street and then jumped her on the back from behind and physically assaulted her. I'm like, what is going on? Yes. What is going on? These people are not from here. Well, we have brothels in New York. Do you hear me? We have brothels and it is legal. They legalized this for illegal people. They legalized criminal activity.
Well, you know what?
I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
This is why I say that the American people and patriots in this country right now need to understand one thing for sure. What we've seen from this administration and what we've seen from the Obamas and the Bidens, they have literally set this. This was all planned. This was all planned. This was something that didn't happen. They planned this because the Democratic Party had no true leaders anymore. They had nobody. The Republicans really didn't have nobody other than Trump. And after Trump, we're going to have to try to vet somebody and find somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because neither party really has groomed leaders. Mm-hmm. They haven't groomed leaders because they've always felt, well, you know, I'm okay. I'm a Republican. I'm okay. I'm getting all the money that I need. Mm-hmm. You know, we gonna try to live right by the book, but they're not. And now that the Democrats are cheating the way they're cheating, they're caught back. So they're behind the times because they've sit on their butts and allowed it, and so it's got out of hand. And the point that I'm making is this: to the American people and patriots across this country, this is a wake-up call for us. This is truly a wake-up call for us because our freedoms are at stake right now. Yeah, we allow people to be here illegally, and these people have the legislators the Brandon Johnson, the Barack Obamas, the Hillary Clintons, the Bidens, all of them should be put in jail for treason because they've allowed illegal activity to come to this country. Illegal activity.
Yeah.
And paid the people to bring crime, drugs, the cartel.
It's treason. I mean, you're supporting criminal activity and you're giving them aid and comfort. I mean, it's textbook. Like, it's in the Constitution. What they're doing is complete treason, and nobody wants to say it. And when you say the word, they're like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. I need people to stop being enablers and codependents.
Yes.
We are a country of codependents and enablers. If you don't know what that is, please look it up, because we are. And we allow people to do things that are harming us instead of saying, you know what, you're going to stop it. We're not going to put you back in office. We don't care what promise you've made. You've already shown us who you are. You're not going to change. Period.
Well, you know what? That's just like the debate. I felt that, I felt sorry for Joe Biden because Joe Biden has dementia. And those people who are handling Joe's, the oligarch or whatever that bullshit is that's trying to run America in the ground, that's not Joe, but the people around him who've been running the country for 3 years in the ground.
Yeah, and they've been doing it in front of our face. So now they can't tell us that he's running the country. No, he's not. And we know he hasn't been running the country. We know, like, the people that have been paying attention have been like, we've been talking about this for 3 years, but it was more evident when they had that debate last week. It was like, okay, there's no denying that he is not there. He's not there.
And that's the thing too, is how the media now try to put a spin on it. Joe Biden is sick. Joe Biden is not going to live that much longer. The stage of dementia that he has is going to wipe him out. He's probably already wiped out. Okay,
that's unfortunate.
But they keep pumping him up full of drugs. And to the American people and patriots across this country, when I say this, I don't want people to think, oh, he done lost his mind. You see these movies that they've already made, like the espionage movies, like the Jason Bourne movies, where they have body doubles and all like that. That's going on in the United States.
That's been going on for a while.
You can tell we saw the real Joe Biden. We saw the real Joe Biden during the debate because he couldn't speak a sentence. He mumbled the whole time. He was mumbling. He couldn't put two sentences together. And if the American people and patriots across this country want to fool themselves and say that Joe Biden is well, that Joe Biden should be running the country, then you're not only a fool, but you're a damn fool. Joe ain't doing nothing.
No, they showed I guess they had a rally or something where Jill Biden was speaking, and she had like this sweater on that said vote all over it. And he was just literally standing there like a zombie. Yep. I mean, it almost like he was in a trance. I'm like, really? Y'all was really gonna put, y'all still doing Weekend at Biden? I'm just calling it Weekend at Biden. I'm not even gonna call it Weekend at Bernie. We got Weekend at Biden. Like, y'all just really gonna keep pushing this on us as if he's not all there. He's not all there.
He's
period. He's not all there. And then I saw something else. I guess it was on X. So they're trying to find somebody else to maybe put in his place and push that person to be nominated when they have the Democratic convention. I'm like, y'all need to do something, because the American people aren't buying it anymore. There's a small segment that will vote blue no matter who. That is who they are. But there's a large chunk of America that's like, no,
well,
we're not doing that.
You know, that large chunk of Americans now that sees how the game is being played and how it has affected us tremendously. You know, we're sitting around here with maybe a third world war, and they're going to have to implement the draft because our young people are not going to lay their lives down for this country. No. It ain't like it was when it used to be, where patriotism was number one in this country. And you had people that would lay their life down for this country who would join the armed services in a civilian capacity or in a military capacity. You have people that love this country enough to say, I'm going to invest my life to become to help this country. We don't have that anymore. And our young people don't care about this country at all. They care about is playing the video games and all the other stuff. They're not athletes. They don't get out. They don't run. So we got a bunch of sissies sitting around here in the United States that are not physical. They're not psychologically ready. Yep. So the country is falling because we didn't prepare our young people.
No, we told them they couldn't play recess. We said you had to sit inside because you're going to get hurt if you play on the monkey bars. You're going to get hurt if you actually run around. And then they want to pump kids full of drugs because they can't sit still. They can't sit still because they need to play.
Yes.
They need time to play and exercise and refresh their minds. So when they do come back in from playing, because I was a kid once, they're ready to settle down and focus. They don't need to be pumped full of Ritalin to help them focus. Okay, I worked at a pediatrics office, and one of the main things they were always trying to pump into kids, and it was one of the questions were, well, do they go out and play? Yes. Do they go out and exercise? And it's like, oh no, they're just sitting at home. We'll take them outside.
Let me tell you the story there. To the American people and patriots across this country. She's definitely telling the truth. My nephew, Tavian Banks, was a small kid. He went on to play in the NFL. But his mother, he was always running as a kid, running as a kid. And when he got in school, because he was such a little athlete, the school tried to say there was something psychologically wrong with the kid, and that they needed to put him on Ritalin and some of the other drugs that they was putting on Black kids to destroy their mind, and then they become dependent on a drug. Right. We recommended that we put him into sports. We put him into karate. We put him into soccer. He went on to play at Bendorf High School. He broke all sorts of records as a running back. He went to the University of Iowa on a Hayden Fry, broke all sorts of records on a Hayden Fry. Then he turned around, got picked up in the NFL by the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he played and ended his career there. See, that's the kind of thing that this country has really done, this education system. And I'm glad what President Trump said, he needs to get rid of the Board of Education.
They've been in charge for 40 years and it's declined. It hasn't gotten any better. It's like, does anybody see that? Over 40 years and it didn't get better. It got worse.
It got
You're
worse.
Not doing your job.
So all of these agencies, like the CDC, the CDC needs to be disbanded. Now let's talk about. They can't
be now because we got the Chevron.
I'm just going to say that.
I'm excited.
See, to the American people and patriots across this country, if you did not understand what Chevron was about, Doc, explain to our people about what Chevron is about.
So in short, what it did was all of these bureaucracies that you see, like he mentioned, the CDC, and just other agencies, they did not have a legislative backing. What I mean is they were put in place as administrators to administrate, but then they started saying, well, we need to put in and implement this law, and it wasn't a law.
Right.
It was just a rule. It may have been a mandate, but it wasn't a law, and it actually contradicted the Constitution. It actually contradicted our Bill of Rights. However, because Chevron, you couldn't hold them accountable. Right. Now you can hold them accountable. So all that lockdown stuff that they did before, I wish somebody would. Well, I wish you would, because you can't do it because it's illegal. It was illegal in the first place, but now you really can't do it because Chevron's gone. Their little veil of protection is gone. They can no longer say, well, the experts can say all they want to, but once it contradicts the Constitution, you're done. You don't get to override it because it's convenient, because your agency says it's okay.
Yeah. Right. And those agencies do not set laws.
No, they do not.
But you know what? That's the whole thing. And see, that's why a lot of people was confused with COVID. And this is the reason why, to the American people and patriots across this country, what made this country great was the fact that we had an educational system second to none.
Yeah.
There was nobody on this earth smarter than the American children in this country when we was coming up. Yeah. The Chinese, The Bomanies, none of them was smarter than the Russians.
They were coming over here.
Nobody was smarter than the American students over here.
Yeah.
And yet now look, if our students, listen, children in the United States today, because of the poor educational system that has went down, that educated us, most of them can't count, they can't read, they can't write cursive, they have
They can't sign their names.
They can't even sign their names. They're making X's and stuff like that. So what we've allowed to happen is the structure that this country was built on, the structure of creating families, the structure of a man work for what he wants, the structure of people being honorable with integrity, the structural things that really made this country great. We've allowed them to disappear, and this whole new thing about doing everything wrong, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the integrity, no integrity. But guess what? They still holding us to the standard of what we was raised on, of being good, honest American people. And the leadership is no longer honest. It is no longer good. Anytime leadership goes against God, Barack Obama went against God. And it was all planned when he decided that he wanted to be a God himself and create a new race called transgenders and allow that marriage between a man and a woman. That was the beginning of the downfall of this country from the inside.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad because, and I know some people that are same-sex couples. So that to each his own, but you can't call it a marriage because a marriage was instituted by God. It wasn't instituted by man. And I think that's the broader conversation that nobody's having. If you want to have a civil union, because that's what it is a civil union, whatever you choose to call that person as your partner, that's fine. But it was the recognizing.
Yes.
It was like, okay, how do you want to be recognized as something under God's law that he says is abomination, right? Unfortunately.
Leviticus 20:13, a man that lays with a man in the fashion of a woman is an abomination to God. That's the rule.
He said that, right? But God also said, if you want to do things under your law, that's fine. But don't bring it back over here and say it's mine, because it's not mine. Like he said, man and a woman marriage. That's it. He didn't add anybody else in. He didn't give any other, caveats. He's like, that's it. So when we talk about marriage, it has to be in its proper context. Civil union, man and man, woman and woman. That's fine. But it's not a marriage. So, like I said, and I know people that are same-sex couples, and they'll probably be like, Shaq, how dare you? How could you say that? I'm like, because those are facts. Okay, you can say what you want, but in the eyes of God, it's not a marriage. It's just not.
and that's the reason why when Barack made the law, their next move was to indoctrinate. Their next move was to pound the hell out of the American people to try to make us think that God got it wrong.
Right.
This country is saying, well, God got it wrong because I'm a man and I love a man, and so I should be married to a man. That ain't what marriage is about.
No.
And so that this whole thing that we saw, and this is why I say the American people have been totally disrespected. Yeah. We've been disrespected to the fact that I don't care what a homosexual does. What you do in your bedroom is your own business. I don't care what you do. You can eat whatever that you want to eat, sleep with whoever you want to sleep. But the problem is this: you have no right to push your sinful, demonic, abomination lifestyle on nobody but yourself.
Yeah. This month has proven it. People are just in San Francisco, they're just walking down the street naked. They ain't even put on socks no more. They're butt naked. Just butt naked outside with a backpack like a Pride Month. No, it needs to be abolished. Everything about it needs to be abolished. So all of that stuff that Biden did last year, and I don't think he did it this year unless I missed it. Because I know they had like this whole big celebration where they had the rainbow flags all over the White House. I don't think they did that this year. If they did, like I said, I missed it.
They did.
Oh, they did? Okay. So he's wrong because the only flag that's supposed to fly there is the United States flag, no other flags. So it's just crime on top of crime.
Well,
but it needs to be abolished because there's nothing good about it. There's nothing uplifting about what they're doing. It's depraved behavior, period. It is depraved behavior.
For what Barack did and what Joe now implemented, it was Joe's turn to implement this whole thing. You know, how are they going to disrespect our country by hanging a gay flag in conjunction with the American flag?
Oh, and it's got pedophilia in there too, as well.
Yeah.
So those light blue colors, all of that light white and the light pink and the blue. A lot of people think that's transgender. No, that's pedophilia.
But that's why they say the alphabet group, the LGBT. They had all the pedophiles. They had everything into this group, and tried to legitimate them. You know, to the American people and patriots across this country. I'm going to ask you something, and you think about this. Okay, think about the fact that you got girls. I got 2 daughters. That you got girls, and now they tried to put men in the girls' bathroom. Men are taking over women's sports. That's not what this country was built on.
No,
we weren't built like that.
Hard. Yeah,
we wasn't built. This country wasn't built on the fact that our children, who are now 5 and 6 years old, are demanding to be transgenders, and their genders change when they can't even spell gender.
No.
See, these are the things that, as an American citizen, we've gotten away from, and we let this come into our lives, and we've let it come into the country and take over and push down our throats without any pushback. If you want to be serious about the whole thing, and like I said, I have nothing against gays. I have a niece that's gay, and I love her. She's my niece. But she agrees with me. She don't want it in the schools. She don't want to push down people's throat because she's just like she says, that's my lifestyle. I made that choice.
Right.
And so if that's the choice that you made, that's the life that you lead, nobody else should be forced to deal with that. But what I'm saying to the American people right now, we have to understand one thing, that this whole homosexual thing has been pushed on us by a few people.
Yeah.
And they only make up what? Less
than 5%.
Less than 5% of our population. Yeah. To the American people and patriots across this country, how are we going to sit back and let 5% of our population dictate to us, change our lives, change our children's lives, change the dynamics in this country to no good?
Right.
What the homosexuals doing now is no good for the country. It ain't no good for no families because they can't reproduce. Ain't no 2 men having no babies.
No.
And if 2 men or 2 women adopt a child, you destroy that child mentally.
Yeah. But it's the positions of authority that they've been put in. And that's why people think there are more of them than there is. It's just the positions of authority that they've been put in, and they've been passing laws and
that's what they've done to protect
themselves. Putting areas to protect themselves. And it's really, really sad what they're doing to our children, what they're doing to our country, because this is about your behavior. This has nothing to do with anything else other than your preference and behavior. That's it.
Your preference or who you sleeping with in the bedroom.
That's it. And I'm like, really? That's what we're doing? And I was like, no, it doesn't. I don't care. Are you a decent human being? And then you get mad when you're like, well, you're not treating me like a decent human being because I don't care who you sleep with, but you want me to care more about who you sleep with than you do than your character of who you are. That's the issue.
Well,
that's the issue. You are not your sexuality. People need
to
I
have to keep it real 100%. As a man of God, I will not tolerate, and that's why you see Pastor Lowery come on here and say what I say, because if you're a homosexual and you expect to say Jesus loved you, you lying to yourself if you don't repent. See, that's what don't nobody want to talk about. And pastors are not preaching it today. The pastors not doing nothing but running their mouth and taking money. I'm so sick of them and what they're doing to this country by getting paid. Now, coming up Sunday, it's going to be at least $4 to $5 billion put in the Black community, and the pastors don't do nothing for Black people. That's the most saddest thing. But as a man of God, I refused to go along with the program. See, I'm cut from the cloth of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's the cloth I'm cut from. I'm cut from the Daniels in the lion den cloth. I'm cut from that David killing Goliath cloth. That's where I'm from. So I do not accept this abomination lifestyle as a lifestyle that needs to be forced on everybody else. And I'm hoping and praying that when Donald Trump get in, that we can roll these things back. Take the homosexuality out of the schools. Take it as the master plan of us being changed to. All of it's got to go. President Trump, roll all of that crap back. Let us get back to what this country was. Let us make sure our children can read and write. Let us make sure that the legislation does not reflect somebody because they're having sex with the same sex. All of this stuff needs to be turned back and pushed back to this country the way it was, and let us make a decision, not one person. Everything needs to come before legislation in this Congress, and the American people need the people that we need to take a vote on everything that happened.
Yeah, we really do. We really do. Because right now, our federal government, they're acting like rulers instead of servants. Yes. And that's a big issue for me, especially, learning about Alec. And it's weird because I had posted something on X yesterday because my husband and I were watching Schoolhouse Rock, and we came across that video where it talks about, I'm a bill, I'm only a bill. And we were like, oh, this is really educational. Well, now they've got the new one where he's wrapped up like a dollar bill. He's called Alec. Okay. Alec is an acronym. I'm missing like what the acronym means right now, but basically it's a group that has infiltrated our Congress so that our Congress is working with the corporations. They're not working for the people anymore. And so they pay off all the congressmen to do what they want and write the bills that benefit the corporations, but don't benefit the people. And that's where we're at with our Congress and with our legislature, with our White House, unfortunately, even with our Supreme Court, because we've seen how people have been paid off to rule in certain ways. So they've paid off our entire system. So it's like, well, how do you get rid of that? Well, it's called we the people.
Yes.
It's we can turn this around.
Yes, we can. And what it's really going to take is the patriotism for righteousness.
Yeah.
See, it's all about righteousness for me. I don't care who you are. You could be the worst person in the world, but if you're doing righteous things, then you're okay with me, because your righteousness is going to mean that the people that need it is going to get it. Yeah. See, there's no righteousness in the country anymore. They feel that everybody can be bought. Everybody got a price. That's why the church is in the condition. Well, we will give the churches all of that 501c3 money, and they better marry gays. They better do this. Well, you know what? I work for the Almighty God, and I ain't better do nothing but be a servant to him. That's all I am about. I ain't about what the government says. I don't even care about the government. I don't even care about the laws that man has written, because I live by the commandments of God. Mm-hmm. So when you live by the commandments of God, everything else doesn't mean nothing. Because the law is for the lawless. Okay?
Yeah. Because Louisiana, I know them wanting to post the 10 Commandments in the room. Everybody's up in arms about that. It's like, however, that it's a historical document because that's what our laws are based on. Exactly. Our laws, and actually the formation of our country is based on the 10 Commandments. It came from somewhere. People didn't come over here and said, "Oh, we shouldn't murder each other. That's a good idea." No, they upheld they upheld one of those commandments for our country. So I can see it being historical document. Now, my husband and I, we always have these political conversations. He goes, "I'm not sure about it, only because I don't want it to be like, well, if they can put the 10 Commandments, what about another religion?" I say, but here's the thing: they're not using it in a religious text. It is being used in historical text because that's where our laws come from. If somebody wanted to say, well, what really is the foundation of this country, you would go back to the 10 Commandments, because that's the foundation.
That's what it was built on.
That helped them put in place, our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. It's based on something, and that is the substantiation. That's what it is. And a lot of people don't like it. They're like, oh no. Well, guess what? The truth hurts, burns, and it stings. That's where our laws come from. I'm glad that it says thou shalt not murder. I don't want people running around with machetes thinking that they can just kill people. But guess what? We now have people in this country that think that way because they're not from here. Yes, they were not vetted. They were not assimilated into this country in a way that said, you cannot do these things that you did from where you came from. We just said, okay, everybody just come on in with all of your rules and laws. No, stop that. You're creating anarchy.
You know what? When I was watching President Trump on the debate, he could have stomped Joe Biden into the ground. But I want the American people to remember this. Look at all the migrant crime that are happening to us. And the system are letting them walk out of jail. A 12-year-old girl from Houston, Texas, lost her life, went to a restaurant diner. Migrants got her, strangled her, and raped her. A couple of days ago in New York, a woman walked around, she get grabbed by the migrants, they raped her, beat her up, all this kind of stuff. It's happening in our country, and the prosecutors, the DAs are letting these people out of jail. Because see, had they, like Lincoln Riley, the guy that had killed Lincoln Riley, had they kept him in jail, at least in one of the 5 times they had him, she would be alive today.
Yeah, he was a completely different state.
Exactly. And so we're looking at all the crime that the migrants are creating. They're creating crime. They brought drugs. They brought mayhem. They bring in intimidation. They bring in everything to this country that we were at a place to was subsiding. Because basically, the place where all the crime was happening was in the Black community. So guess what? We're going to bring migrants in. We're going to let them amp up the Black community with more crimes. Let them fight amongst themselves. And we'll sit back and pick the pieces up. And then we'll give both parties to vote for us on what's left. That's the Democratic mindset. And to the American people and patriots across this country, we can see our country have been attacked with our own politicians who have created this mess.
Yeah. And now, even for, to Pastor Lowery's point, in the city of Chicago, I know a lot of people are like, well, the Democrats can fix it. Guess what? The Democrats are who ran it down. Yeah. And there are no Republicans in the city of Chicago. They're all Democrats. And that city is a dumpster fire and only getting worse. And so there needs to be a change that occurs. Come on.
Well, here in Illinois, we've started to see some things move. The Republican Party, the rhinos here have been falling off against each other. I think the Trump campaign is looking at what's going on. We, myself, and Terry Newsom have been reporting to the Trump camp about what's happening here in Illinois. And we're hoping that Laura Trump gets involved with us and we get these rhinos out of office, because the only reason why Chicago stays blue is because we have Democrats posing as Republicans and allowing the Democratic polls to be ran improperly. When we did our investigation for the Heritage Foundation during the primaries, and when we found out that everything President Trump said was true, all these people sitting around here talking about, well, Donald Trump didn't do it, they lied. No, we went out to the Black community, to the polling places, and they had thumb drives. They had the printers that didn't work. They had no Republican ballots out. They had information inside the actual voting booth on who to vote for. They had the Democratic stuff sitting in every election rule was broken in Chicago to push people and force people into voting Democrats, or they gave up and went home because some places, the polling places moved. In Harvey, Illinois, we started at the City Hall. The polling place moved from City Hall. Then it moved to the Gloria Taylor Foundation, which nobody was there. And then it moved to another school, some obscure school, and people were not voting because they didn't know where the polling place was. And so the Democrats are going to continue to use these tactics. Yeah. And that's why they feel so brazen, because they know they can cheat with the mail-in ballots. They know that the poll places are going to be cheated at in the blue states like New York, Chicago, California. They're cheating. They're cheating with the ballot boxes. They're doing everything. And if we're going to win this, and as an independent, I don't usually like either group, but I vote for the person that's going to be best for the country. So you're going to hear Pastor saying Donald Trump is better for our country. And under his leadership, we saw an America that was strong with no wars, no disrespect. The Afghanistan thing was about to be taken care of if they hadn't cheated in 2020 and stole the election and turned our country upside down. If Trump hadn't finished the term that Joe had, we'd probably be the strongest nation on the face of this planet. Our family structure would still be in tight. Our country would not be in these wars. We already know that. Our country wouldn't be in these wars. Our gas prices wouldn't be $8 and $9. Our schools would not be inundated with the homosexual, the military, everything that they did under this administration. President Trump is going to have to reverse. And I'm praying and hoping that once he get in, that he do these things so that we can get our country back on track. And this country needs to be brought to a place of respectability and accountability on who we are as a nation and what we're trying to do in the future for our kids. So last words, Doc, and I got to get out of here and go eat some.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I wanted to say was thank you for all of that. You know, and as a party, we're not endorsing any candidate, but we do want the best candidate in office.
Yes.
And right now, the better of the two is Trump. I mean, at least he can talk and he can read and he can walk on his own off stage, because we already see that Joe is declining, and it's unfortunate. So like I said, as a party, we're not endorsing anybody, any candidates, and it's going to take all of us. So, you know, as the founder of the Redemption Party, we're definitely focused at the local level to make sure that we are a stronghold to protect people's rights and interests at the local level, making sure that the streets are, you know, paved and their sidewalks are good and there's no potholes, and making sure that the police department is running correctly, and make sure that code enforcement is working for the people. So I know a lot of people, we get discouraged at the national level. Just understand that that's really not where everything happens. It happens really, really effectively at the local level. And we need everybody to stay engaged politically, because right now I'm focused on building political wealth and capital for my grandson and my great grandson. Okay, I'm looking 30 years down the line of where my life is going to be. I'm going to be 80, right? I'm not going to be in the physical place that I am now. And so what we always forget as our people, especially Black people, guess what? Guess where the money starts? It starts in the political arena.
Yes, it does.
Not after. So we have to start really looking at our political capital and our political wealth and building that generationally and taking hold of that now that we realize and understand it and not let go of it. Okay, so check out the USARedemptionParty.com. Like I said, we're always looking for candidates and we're looking for members to join our party so that we're more effective in these elections to come. I'm definitely praying for this country that we can get back on track. But guess what? No matter who's in office, as the people of this country, this is our country. I need everybody to remember that. This is nobody else's country but ours. And now with Chevron being gone, and now all these bureaucracies can't tell people what to do whenever they feel like it, it's time to really take our country back and get things back on track.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Go and enjoy your holiday, and I'm gonna get out of here and do the same. Folks, thank you for tuning in, and I'm gonna end this special. Like I said, I'm out in Detroit with family members. I needed a little R&R, but I want to say this. These are gonna be my last words. I can remember when we was well respected as a country. I can remember when our children had a chance to be taught something, to be intelligent adults. Generations have went by now, and our children are the last on the totem pole for education and academics. This country was built on God. And as long as we, and I'm talking to the people that know God or have a relationship with Christ, you can remember when Christ and God was the number one thing in this country. This country was rolling smooth. no matter what we did in this country, slavery and all of that, that is something in the past. And yes, slavery to Black people need to be compensated, just like everybody else. But it's a sad day in America when we sit here and we see that they brought illegals in. This country have gave them money, paid them to come to our community, paid them to take over and bring crime, paid them to bring drugs illegally here. They're here illegal themselves. And the American people are paying for everything. So to the American people of patriots across this country, think about the 3 years that Donald Trump was in office. That was the last time we seen this country in some type of stability. That was the last time we seen this country with some type of integrity. That was the last time we seen this country with some type of honesty. And to the American people and patriots, it has been the Democratic Party who throwed Americans in jail for January 6th with the fake trials. Steve Bannon, a friend of mine, gone to jail for a fake Congress contempt of court. All the things that the Democrats did to come against the American people. It is time for the American people to take our country back. And when President Trump get into office, we should rally around him and all the Democratic people who have been involved, organizations, the World Health Organizations, the Catholic Charities, the Red Cross, all of those organizations who have taken American taxpayer dollars and gave them to the illegal aliens to invade our country and to bring us to this place to where we don't know what's going to happen next, need to be disbanded. We need to remove them. The CDC, we need to remove all of them out of our country and create organizations to make rules that they have to follow, not the American people. I want to thank everybody for watching this special. Thank you. God bless you. Take this time to reflect on the Independence Day. It's about freedoms. It's about the freedom that we gained not only through God, but through the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Think about the freedoms that you have now. And think about what's going to happen. Think about what has already happened against our freedoms in the Constitution. If we don't get rid of this evil, and I'm saying the evil that we see in this country today with the Democrats and the rhinos, if the American people do not wake up and remove this evil out of this country, I can tell you unequivocally the disrespect that it has done to God, God is going to destroy America because it has become the new Sodom and Gomorrah. Trump 2020. God bless you. Enjoy the 4th of July and peace.